Now joining me is Zachary Hall, an alumni from Phoenix College. He's had a huge impact, not only at Phoenix College, but in particular athletics. Zach, how you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm great.
So, how are you? How's everything going with the COVID-19 restrictions we're dealing with, and is it affecting you at work or anything like that, or how's everything going on your half?
Yeah. So, we'll talk a lot about athletics and my past there, but after athletics, I moved into aviation. So currently, I work for a company here in the Valley called Avair, and we sell spare airplane parts. So naturally, there's less planes in the sky, and there's less pilots and less traveling and more travel restrictions. So definitely really pushed me to use my education and some of my knowledge and getting creative with sales at a time when much like other industries as well, aviation is at one of its all-time lows.
Right. Yeah, it's I'm hoping for some solutions to everything we're dealing with, but
Sooner than
uh,
later, that's for sure.
for the ones that don't know, you've had a huge impact on Phoenix College. But before we kind of talk about why you chose Phoenix College and your involvement in athletics, what ended? What was the final decision for you to choose Phoenix College as your beginning of your academic career?
So my high school business teacher, Ken Mattern, was the alumni president for Phoenix College. So part of my love of athletics is, of course, growing up being a sports fan, but playing baseball, soccer, basketball. K through 8, played soccer and swam in high school. So I loved sports, and I was in a talent pool that didn't have the greatest selection of athletic opportunities afterwards, but I had always, found ways to get involved on campus in high school. And Mr. Mattern had mentioned a few times that Phoenix College had, a lot of momentum going right now in their alumni base, their on-campus growth and things like that. And so while I was at Westview High School, one of the female soccer players was actually going to go to Phoenix College to play soccer. And, Ken was saying, hey, you can come on campus, you can get involved with student government. They have a great business program. And then, of course, he spoke to me about the financial benefits of your first 2 years, no matter where they are. So for me, it was one of my favorite teachers in high school was just in my ear. And then the more I learned about the opportunity of doing things on campus, it's awesome.
Yeah, and far as doing things on campus, you made a huge impact on athletics through a Blue Man Crew, which is
Yeah.
kind of dissolved since you've left. But can you kind of explain what that was and how you helped assemble the Blue Man Crew?
Yeah, whenever you're in high school, especially your senior year, there's homecoming game and there's prom and there's all those things that are like monumental moments for your senior year. But on our campus, by our senior year, some of us athletes, we were just trying to find ways to help each other. And so we were, when I swam, if I had a big meet, some of my buddies from the football team would come, and of course everybody would go to the football game. And our girls soccer program was incredible. So a couple of us dated soccer girls, and we'd go support them, or a couple of guys were dating volleyball girls, and it kind of just became this cool thing to do. So in that light, when you do find yourself at a community college your freshman year, you do see at the time MySpace or Facebook was showing everyone having the time of their life at ASU or U of A or all these other four-year schools. And naturally, my friend came and she played soccer. So we're like, oh, cool, it's in the fall. We'll go and support. And then there's this guy named Ira Brown playing basketball. And it's kind of like if a tree falls in the wood and nobody saw it, did the tree actually fall? Well, Ira was apparently posterizing people every night. It was must-see TV
Yeah.
for community college basketball. And him and I met on campus one day, and a couple of the baseball guys and I were talking about our love of basketball. And next thing you know, we created our own little sub-community, to Ken Mattern's point of how easy it was to come together for something we were so passionate about. And then for a school with just incredible athletics heritage in the first place, the buy-in happened instantaneously. We started a club, got a $500 stipend, bought some T-shirts, bought some wristbands, branded it, launched it, and then naturally the energy on campus was higher, the connectivity was higher, and I would like to think the performance on the court and on the field also went much higher.
I think so. It definitely drew men's soccer come to a lot of games because obviously Ira Brown was, a highlight reel by himself doing all the slam dunks, but which was rare to see at the junior college level. And ever since Ira Brown, it's been a common practice for the basketball team. It was just an enjoyable environment. It's always fun to be somewhere where there's a crowd, where it's loud and it's entertaining, and obviously the talent on the court definitely helps.
But it was also, to that point there, you talk about getting student buy-in, getting athletes to support other athletes. That's natural. But getting other commuting students that, we had people that were 35, 40, 50 that were returning to come to school, and we were connecting with them in the classroom and then forging a relationship outside. But to the same point, I couldn't imagine being at like Kentucky or seeing Coach K or a Duke, or there's no way a regular student is getting a meeting with them. And, yourself, or at the time, Coach Matt Gordon, I was like, hey, I have this crazy idea. The buy-in from the coaching staff, from the athletic director, the administration, the alumni association, student life, the community college environment truly fosters a form of, come as you are and we'll find something for you, I guess, in some degree. Like, hey, if you want to take one class and get a certificate, cool. But we were like, hey, we kind of want to do this thing and we want to support more students and we need a budget. So many decision makers came together, whether it was a great idea or not, they supported us, which just goes to show again, like, it's that attention, that value you get being at a community college.
Yeah, it definitely brings opportunity. And any thoughts, like, with opportunity, what opportunities did Phoenix College present to you besides Blue Man Crew and opportunity to engage so many people? Well, let's put opportunities to the side. Let's talk about your relationships. What relationships did you meet at Phoenix College that are still consistent today?
So there's a funny story in that our freshman year, this guy Ira Brown, there was a TV show Robin Big at the time, and it's like it was our life. He's 6'5", 250. I'm 5'9", 150, but yet we became like Tweedledee and Tweedledum as we roamed around campus. And through that relationship there's a couple guys on the basketball team. There's a guy named Dustin Trout. He has a local PR agency. We've stayed in touch, and he was on the baseball team from Yuma, I think. All these relationships were my freshman year. So you come into our sophomore year, and I'd like to think that we had a huge, definitely credit to Jessica McDonald, Team USA Women's Soccer Star, World Cup champion, Cactus High School All-American, blah, blah, Jessica McDonald, blah, blah, blah. Like, but here is a top talent, one of the best women's high school girls soccer players in the country, was going to go to North Carolina. And, things in her life had led her to having to come to Phoenix College. And I'd like to think she had to, but it was an opportunity for her to do her own thing. And she has become a lifelong friend of mine. She's went on to have an incredibly successful career on the soccer field, representing Team USA across the world. And at the same time, she's raising a young son as a single mother. Her story, I'm sure people on here have heard previously, but during our time on campus, we just were able to connect in so many different ways, supporting each other. For some reason or other, we were all brought to Phoenix College. Maybe it was we didn't have good high school grades, we didn't have the financials, maybe it was the closest thing to our house. Whatever our story was that brought us there, that point in time has connected us for the rest of our lives. But to this day, much like coming on this podcast and talking to everyone out there that's got an affiliation with Phoenix College, there's teachers, there's alumni directors, all the athletics program, the new president, he's incredible. When you see him around the community and he's young and he's ambitious and he's energetic and he's passionate, you don't get to know the president of a college that easily. But again, testament to Phoenix College and the culture that he fosters, but that the campus has as well.
Yeah, he's very engaging, and he's available on social media. If you message him, he'll respond, and that's kind of where the next generation of students right now, it's all social media. It's not even their cell phones, like not a phone number. My phone number, my handle's this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's changed quite a bit. I want to talk about your book, Don't Sleep on Planes.
Yeah.
What made you decide to write that book, and if you can tell us a little bit of what's it about?
Yeah, so it's an oxymoron, of course. I do say don't sleep on planes, but During COVID times, you're not really going to be talking to the random person next to you. So
Right.
here I am with a speaking book on planes at a time where nobody's flying. So that tells you a lot about my sales for 20. So the idea of don't sleep on planes is kind of just a joke on life. We always say we don't have enough time, and yet for 4 hours or 3 hours from Phoenix to Chicago, you can't go anywhere. Sometimes the Wi-Fi works. You have 3 hours, and at times I realize, maybe that's a networking analogy. So the idea don't sleep on planes came. So many of my friends had always come to me and said, "Hey, you're the guy that seems to know everybody, and when we go places, we know no one, and we leave there and we know 10 people." It's an idea of just sharing my views and my passions of life, of lead with giving, start assuming everybody's good, and find ways that you can support each other. And at Phoenix College, where the idea started, it was helping somebody help someone else, and so on, and then creating a community. So the best part about Phoenix, and I guess Arizona as a state, is we're the fifth largest city in America, and yet if you need to know somebody, you give it 5 or 6 minutes, somebody's probably going to be able to connect you to that person. So the idea of the book is just living with giving and sharing your contacts, and making relationships left and right. Um, Little things like my philosophy in life is you should have a cup of coffee with everyone. 9 times out of 10, if somebody invites you to coffee, they're probably paying, so it's plus one. But two, it's a common time of our life that meals are great when they can be shared, whether it's dating or business relationships. Um, so it was just a book, really, 6 or 7 chapters talking about how to get to know somebody, why it's important to follow up, how to follow up, staying in touch, how you can grow your network, all by playing on the idea of, you're sitting on a plane, you're in the same row on the same plane, going to the same destination. When you have three things in common like that, usually you're on the right track to success.
It, and it's kind of what you did at Phoenix College. You went to a junior college. It's not like, the kids are trained to think I got to go university and all that. So it's not like a glamorous thing, but you went to Phoenix College and embraced it in such a way, like kind of like how you wrote the book. You engaged everybody, you engaged athletics, and where most people wouldn't, and most people wouldn't go up to an Ira Brown because it's kind of intimidating. Someone that tall and that athletic, and not being on his basketball team. You really did you did a lot of change at Phoenix College, and part of your Blue Man crew. I watched what you did, and I'm like, and I took a little piece of what you did, and that's when I started doing my salad games. I always tried, but you kind of like gave me a bit of a path that it is possible. And then next thing I know, we almost have 4,000 fans at a junior college soccer game, and that a lot of that's attributed to you. So I appreciate your passion. Phoenix College appreciates your passion.
That's the best part too, is everybody that's playing a sport at any level, as long as you have a jersey on your back, you have an opportunity. And so to the same degree, as long as you're sitting in a classroom learning something, or sitting in front of a book, sitting in front of a YouTube video, like, you're investing in yourself. And the idea of being at Phoenix College, we were all investing in ourselves in some capacity. Maybe that was athletically, where they said, I just need to fine tune my talents with a great coach that can pay attention to me and give me playing time. I watched a bunch of, tier 2 athletes in high school go to community college. Now they're going D1. And, that's the same thing of me not being an athlete, but going to Phoenix College, putting my head in a book, learning more about business, giving myself an opportunity to earn a scholarship at a Grand Canyon or Arizona State as well.
And just a question I have for you that just popped in my head. Would you have went to Phoenix College if they didn't have athletics?
Oh, no, not at all. I lived out by Estrella Community College, and it was a lot further of a drive, but it gives you that connection. And to me, like, I work in business now, and even in my interviews, I like to talk sports questions because, you either are competitive, you pay attention to stats, you pay attention to the news, like, you pay attention to detail. I've always enjoyed somebody that understands sports or had played sports, and it could even be the arts for that matter, but is somebody that's committed to something to thrive. And when you're in a classroom setting and, you're trying to get a good grade for yourself, when you're in a classroom full of athletes, it just kind of thrives, and you create this energy. And I'm very grateful to have gone to Phoenix College, knowing there was an athletics program at the very least, just because it was something else I could do, someone else on campus I might have something in common with. Um, Definitely made my 2 years a lot better than those that I knew that had gone to other JUCOs that didn't have sports.
So speaking of some of your relationships that you gained, Ira Brown, who was just in town
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, do you know it's quite possible that we might have two Phoenix College alumni playing in the Olympics next summer?
Mm-hmm.
It's quite
I wish
possible.
it was. I had a flight booked for Japan. I was, so tell you the story for those who don't know the Ira Brown story. Ira came to Phoenix College. I think he was like 21 or 22 after having played minor league baseball for professionally for 3 years with the Royals and Padres, and that's how he connected. But like, here's a guy who was already at the top of his, one sport, came over for another. So when you got a chance to meet someone like him, and you're like, you're a specimen bred for sports. And whatever he played, he was just a specimen. He after we graduated Phoenix College, he went to Gonzaga. I went to ASU. He came back. He actually had no contract to play basketball. Living in my guest bedroom, had a part-time job, but knew he wanted to play professionally. So he goes down to Mexico, gets a contract. I think he went to Australia, got a contract. All of a sudden, he goes to the D League and had a chance to try to make it to the NBA. Got offered a job in Japan, making six figures for a guy that wasn't even a basketball player. So go to community college to be a sixth or seventh man. He was at Gonzaga the year they lost to Steph Curry and Davidson. So all due respect to Steph Curry and his goatness, but you still broke my heart with Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 or whatever. But here's a guy like Ira that, just follows the game of basketball and follows his love of sport, takes him to Japan. Now he's a citizen of the country. He's a dual citizen of the U.S. and Japan. And 36 years old, I think, still dunking on folks. But to think about that time at Phoenix College to have two Olympians, my wife's not around, but I am looking at a second mortgage. We're going to find a way to get there. We're going to nice hotels. All 3 weeks we're in.
I'll be there. I was planning on going up for watch the women's national team play in soccer, but obviously that didn't work out, and I'm definitely going this summer. And
so the point of today, actually, while we're doing this recording, it's Kobe Bryant's birthday.
Yep.
And the last time I saw Jess play was in LA last summer. Like, I think it was almost a year ago, but it was one of those 4 games after the World Cup when they're doing the celebration series or whatever.
Right.
And pre-game, down on the pitch, he was Kobe Bryant had his daughter on his shoulders.
Yep.
And he walked up. We were in the family section, and he walked right by us. And you're in LA, and then there's Kobe. It was definitely one of those moments where, again, 5 minutes earlier, he's dapping up J-Mac, like, hey, good to see you. You're my daughter's favorite player, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, as a Suns fan, I'm like, oh, it's Kobe. But then you're just like, man, like, the aura of greatness was a part of that day. So it's cool to have our paths cross that way.
Yeah, I actually watch Kobe Bryant practice every day because I went to Loyola Marymount University, and that's where they practice. That's where he was a rookie in 1996. I was there, and Shaq was there, and they didn't practice. Like, Shaq just goofed around the whole time, and he'd be doing breakdancing, windmilling, and Kobe Bryant was the only one listening to the coach, and the coach was like doing one-on-one with Kobe, doing workouts because he'd listen, and everybody else not at all. It was interesting to watch that because our weight room was above him, so we got a good look all the time at him. So
it's pretty cool. Yeah,
small world.
It's the best.
So Zach, I appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have you on, hopefully maybe 2 or 3 times in in the next like 6-7 months, because there's a lot to talk about, and obviously you're a great advocate for Phoenix College, and there's a lot more to talk about you and what you're doing. But I appreciate your time. I know our schedules got a little goofy, but I appreciate you jumping on and helping us out, making sure we get a podcast out this week.
It's a great platform to connect, and I know driving to work, driving home from work, taking time, for yourself, for those that are still working at home, it's good to unplug a little bit and throw on a podcast. And for everybody out there that's passionate about Phoenix College, I know celebrating 100th year this year. They had invited me to do some cool things. I'm sure everyone else has been invited to do some cool things, but when all this passes, it definitely gives you a little bit more uh, affinity for those times when you can connect with folks that can tell a story. And a campus like Phoenix College, when you think about 100 years, I remember when I was there, end of the podcast story, but one of the buildings still didn't have a women's restroom on the second floor. But it just goes to show how many things and how many cultures and times of history Phoenix College was a part of, and it makes you grateful to be a part of that history.
Yeah, and wait till you come back. We have another basketball court.
Oh, I love that.
So the South Gym has hoops now.
Okay.
And that
when
hasn't
COVID
been like
passed,
that in
up, yeah.
25 years.
Mm.
So
well, the guy
positive.
lives like a block from me during quarantine. I wave to him every morning when I'm driving to work at about 4:30. He's out getting his little jazzercise in. And a couple of mornings ago, I stopped him and I was like, "Hey man, I see you out here every day." He's like, "Yeah, the gym at Phoenix College is closed because COVID and quarantine." And I was like, "Well, you ain't gotta tell me too much because when it opens back up, I'll be your accountability partner and we'll get back to Phoenix College." So I look forward to that.
Yeah, we're all hoping for that. I'll definitely join you on the track or whatever to get back on campus.
Sounds good.
So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Zachary Hall. And this will close our podcast. Please check out Zachary Hall at zacharyhall.com if you want to learn more about his book. And thanks for joining us.